Okay, I will make one announcement since it appears as though we are not having an admin meeting tomorrow on Inauguration Day. But tomorrow afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m., the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority will hold its second board meeting. It is a public meeting, so thank you. Thank you. Feel free to join us if you would like to partake of a scintillating conversation of passenger rail in southern Montana. So without further ado, our action items today. Our first one, Erica, what do you have for us today?
Commissioners, before you is a client engagement letter and an acknowledgement and waiver of conflict and interest from Elizabeth Erickson, who is an attorney with Warden Thane. The purpose behind this engagement of outside attorney services is for Elizabeth to provide the county with advice and representation related to county-owned property in the Grant Creek area. This is the property tied to the Glen Eagle settlements. And as you all know, there has been some outside interest in terms of potential for conservation easements on that property and or development interest. And Elizabeth brings her wealth of knowledge from her time with the city in terms of open space. And then also she certainly has general real estate law background that I think will help move this forward in whatever direction it goes. At this time, just so any media on the phone understand, there are no offers on the table. This is really getting Elizabeth engaged and also being able to get any contractors that the commission thinks would be prudent, potential appraisals on that property so that we're just in a better position to respond to these requests as they come in.
Great. Any questions for Erica?
Nope. I am so thrilled that we have this opportunity to engage Elizabeth. We are really, really fortunate. So, yeah, I'm gonna move to approve the client engagement letter, acknowledgement of waiver and conflict of interest form with Elizabeth Erickson.
Thanks. What do you think, Josh?
I don't see him.
Oh, I thought he was here. I see his name.
Oh, yeah, I see the name. You're on mute, Josh.
I'm sorry. I had to switch things around. I couldn't say enough good things about Elizabeth Erickson. She's the expert we want in this, and I'm really psyched that she's available, and I enthusiastically second this motion.
You had us on the edge of our seats. I thought you were going
to go sideways.
Hell no. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Erica. Andrew Hagemeyer, we have a contract amendment.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, commissioners. So this is a contract amendment for our contract with Dover Coal and Partners for the Swift to Kane master plan. If you remember, it was a while ago. I think back in December, I kind of let you know this was coming down the pipeline, but we are going to hold a couple trainings with staff on how to administer the new form-based code and a training with the development community on how to prepare applications for the form-based code. And then we're also going to have a couple of minor things like applications drawn up by Dover Coal. So it was something that we planned to do as we went through the process. It became apparent we were going to need a little bit of training, and we were originally going to just do a staff training and a development community training, and the city wanted to do some more. And so we've got the contract is for $5,000 for the county is going to throw in, and then the city is going to throw in a $15K because they're going to get more out of this than we are. Yeah, and that's what we'll once this is approved, we'll start working on it and we'll get those meetings scheduled. And the contract will expire in June. We'll be all done by then.
Great.
Thanks. Any questions or a motion?
Oh, Josh, you're muted.
A muted motion.
Still muted.
Can you hear me?
We
Still
got you.
muted? Okay.
Nope, we're
thanks.
here.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Okay, I think Josh just moved. What do you think, Juanita?
I seconded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh, you can nod your head if you're in agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got thumbs up.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, next, Melissa Gordon. We have a request to revoke $19,900 of Small Business Job Creation Grant Award money. Talk to us about this.
Sure. So this is one of the small business job retention grant contracts that were signed by the commission on January 5th, and it's for Morgan Pierce in the amount of $19,900. And with their application package, with the material submitted as part of their package, they met all of the eligibility criteria, including the job retention criteria. And what became clear last week in email communication about the contract was that they actually didn't meet the job retention criteria for the grants and were not eligible for funding. So this is a revocation of that contract.
What can we do with the 19,000?
yeah.
It will go, unless you would like to use those funds to support another small business job retention grant, it will go back to the revolving loan fund and could be used for job creation or job retention in the future.
Melissa, is there another entity one step down the line that didn't get funded that otherwise would have been eligible that we might be able to fund with this money?
I would have to look at that. We have, of course, a huge list of businesses that requested funding and did not get funding. We have not gone through an eligibility criteria check on the folks that are next in line.
If we did open it up again, in some sense, I guess there are a couple options. One, just to utilize the list that we have generated already. But I know there was some concerns, particularly in the Sealy Lake area, about folks with less than adequate internet technology, maybe being at a disadvantage of having been able to, in a timely fashion, cobble together their applications. That would require a whole another round of opening up for submissions, which may be more than what we warranted for $20,000, but.
Well, it might not require that. What I could do is go through our list of businesses that submitted applications and weren't considered for funding because the funding was gone, and identify businesses that came from outside of the city limits and were within the county, and I could come back to you with those folks and we could have a conversation about that. And I might be bringing another contract revocation to you. There's another grantee that has some concerns about duplication of benefits with the Paycheck Protection Plan loan that they might apply for and then accept. So how about I pull together a list of businesses that were part of the applicant pool, weren't funded, are outside of the city limits, and then we can have a conversation about that list and how much funding could be made available to them.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, yeah, you guys are so willing to jump through all those flaming hoops again. So thanks for making that happen.
For $20,000.
Yeah.
Oh.
This sounds so unfortunate, but yeah, I move that the board revoke the $19,900 Missoula County Small Business Job Creation Grant Award to Morgan Pierce based on failure to meet eligibility criteria.
Gosh, I wish we could reframe this and say, I wish something like we're approving that Melissa and her staff go forward and come up with a new way to give away $20,000.
Right.
That too.
That's in effect what we're doing. So.
Okay, I take that as a second.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Melissa, for all the hard
Thanks
work
a lot,
on this
Melissa.
program.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
You bet. Okay, Jason.
Morning.
Good morning.
This one should be pretty simple. So this is a request due to the size of the purchase for a new server and storage system for the jail. It's called Vertex from Dell. Essentially, it is a mini version of what we put in the courthouse last year as an upgrade. So it's called a hyperconverged system. So everything, networking, storage, compute is all in a box. And what that does is it drastically reduces the overhead for administration, improves performance, gives you kind of a single pane of glass and one avenue for support when you do have issues. So this replaces most of the main systems at the jail. We're actually a little bit overdue on that. We pushed it off for a year, but we're to the point now where we need to get that done. In case you don't remember, the jail kind of operates semi-autonomously when it comes to in-house technology. So it allows them, in the event that there were an issue out there and they had to sever network connectivity due to, a riot or something like that, they can still continue to operate. They can receive phone calls, things like that. And so we kind of duplicate some key systems out there that they operate on locally that aren't quite as dependent on downtown, just in case something was going on. So we'll be purchasing this through the state contract. So we've taken care of the procurement there. The dollar amount came in right in line with budget. So once this is approved, we'll go ahead and start scheduling time with Dell. They'll actually come out and help us migrate. And also, it's really nice too. It goes from the space we have now consumes almost an entire rack, and it'll shrink down to about that much. So we're going to free up a ton of very needed space out there in our communications room. Reduces power consumption, all that kind of stuff. So it's time.
Great.
Thanks. Any questions?
Sounds like this is what we should do.
Yeah.
So my agenda disappeared. I'm gonna have to mess with my own technology in a moment, but I'll crudely just move that we that purchase this server.
A second.
All right. Any further discussion on the purchase or agreement? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
How much
Jason.
did you say it was, Jason? I'm like, where's our thingy here?
I think it's right about 31,000.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
in line with budget. So
Yep,
we're
gotta
good.
like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Chantel, you're up next. We have a contract between the county and city of Missoula supporting advocacy and prevention services in the Department of RVS.
Yes, although that should have been updated to the Department of Community Justice.
Yes.
So this is the annual contract between the city and the county that supports roughly 2.5 FTE. The long history of this is that the court fine money out of muni court, plus some general fund dollars allocated by city council going back to 2013 to support some prevention work. And we had a small amount of match from the city attorney's office to our Voca Grant from years and years ago, got rolled up into a single contract. And so they provide these funds to us. And for that, we are dedicating one criminal advocate that is partnered in the city attorney's office, and one civil advocate is supported through those funds, and then some of Kelly McGuire's funds for primary prevention. This contract is essentially the same year over year. It has been keeping up with cost of living increases, but other than that, it hasn't increased at all.
Thanks.
Great. I motion to approve the contract between county and city of Missoula supporting advocacy and prevention services of what are we called again? Community
Justice.
Community justice. So do we want to change or?
Yeah, maybe Violet, if we could just amend the RCA for this to, I'm assuming the contract itself is correct, the language of the department name, or do we want to?
I don't
It was
even.
drafted before the department name had been settled on, although I don't see it being a problem, it being under RVS for this cycle.
Okay,
Okay, so it stays under RVS, so they match
okay,
the
yeah,
RCA and. Okay.
okay, we'll keep the status quo.
We'll keep it as it is. Relationship violence services. Okay.
All right, well, I'll second this.
Very good. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Chantel.
Thank you.
And you have another.
I sure do. This is the signature page for the Board of Crime Control Victims of Crime Act Voca Grant. This is the grant that we put in every other year. It's for just shy of $500,000 for 2 years. Supports just about 4.3 FTE advocate positions. This grant knew that they have a cap on it, so we will not see increases in this grant going forward. And it will not continue to keep up with cost of living. So over time, we're going to see a decreased share supporting the program. The special thing about this page is that it needs your actual signature, and it will also need Andrew's actual signature. So if I need to do any shuttling of paperwork, I'm happy to do it, but I will need it back so I can scan it and upload it for their system.
Do they specify what color ink?
They would like it to be in pink, please.
So Chantel, I'm in Arizona for a few more days.
This is okay for the chair to sign?
Great. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
When do you need it
Okay.
signed by, Chantel?
Andrew, I'm sorry, I missed that.
When do you need it signed by?
End of the week would be ideal.
Okay.
Sure. Not a problem. I guess just put it on my desk and I'll be in and take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Same with me.
Is that your
Okay.
motion, Josh?
All right. I would move that the board approve the grant application signature page for the Voca Grant.
Second.
Great. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, Chantel.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thanks,
Have a great day.
Chantel.
Okay, we have an appointment to the health board to make today. Who is?
Dave, do we know how many, or is it just one position we're filling?
One position. Is it one position and 2 applicants?
It's one vacant term and it's a 3-year term, and we have 2 applicants.
And the person who's leaving is termed out, is that correct?
They didn't seek reappointment.
Okay, and
They
who
didn't submit
is
a letter
that?
of interest.
Do you know who it is?
That was James Stevens.
Oh, okay, great. All right, so yeah.
So the 2 applicants that we had are Dan Cordy and Julie Armstrong, just so
Yeah.
you're aware of the 2 applicants, reminding of the name.
So I'm on the health board, so I just want to toss this out to Dave and Juan. That I believe that the physical human health issues, specifically from healthcare providers and that sort of genre of information, that world is well represented on the health board right now. I don't feel that the environmental side is as well represented. And so for this reason, I'm going to toss out that we appoint Dan Cordy, whose background is much more on the environmental side.
And I was not at Julie's interview, so if there's anything.
Oh, Julie's a former health board member and a great contributing member and a smart person and a former city council person and really solid. I'm making this.
Mhm.
I would say it's a motion. I guess it's a motion now, based more on a genre of expertise, and that I feel like the health board could really benefit from that level of environmental health. And that's what Dan Cordy's job was at the university for years. And he's truly an expert in that area.
Yeah, and I agree. I really was impressed by Dan's interview and his experience, not just with environmental, but with SARS too, and MERS, and
yeah, you're good point. Yeah.
I would concur.
I'll second your motion then.
Great, thanks.
All right. Any further discussion on appointing Dan Cordy to the Health Board? All in favor? Aye. Okay, it's done.
Thanks, commissioners.
Thank you.
Wow, we have been just through a marathon of board appointments for the first few days of 2021. All right, that closes out all of our action items. Any correspondence we need to deal with today?
I don't know. Chris showed up and I'm like, oh, are we in trouble?
Probably.
Okay.
I always think that too, Juan. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, that's not. I don't want that reputation.
Chris, are you queuing up for the legislature update?
I'm queuing up for the legislature.
Okay. What do you have for us?
So just a couple of bills to bring to your attention today and get your position on, just to make sure we're effectively communicating your message to our delegation here. So the first two bills today have to do with long-range planning and long-range infrastructure bills. So it's HB 11 and HB 14. In both of those bills, the CAPS grants folks, in particular Cindy Kennedy, nope, gonna get that wrong. I'm sorry. In one of those, Cindy Kennedy from CAPS is working on the Buena Vista sewer project. In both of those bills is also the Sealy Lake sewer project. So obviously we'll craft a message of support for the Buena Vista project because it's being submitted by the county. Of course, Sealy Lake Sewer applied for their own grants. And the question is, we have historically just sent a general message of support because it's another Missoula County entity. In essence applying, but I did not know if you wanted to continue that tradition since this is a new constitution of the commission before a legislative session. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that. Generally, those messages are just, that Missoula County supports the project in Missoula County, that, wastewater and drinking water are important community values, and they're general, they're not specific.
Yeah, I would love that if we could support this effort. I really believe the economic future and vitality of Sealy Lake is in large part dependent on this sewer project. That without the sewer project, they're going to hit a wall on how many people can live there and how many businesses can be there. And I'd like to see them be able to grow beyond that wall and maintain their namesake lake, which is kind of the economic engine of the area and whose health depends on a sewer.
Yeah.
And then also recognizing the flip side that some folks are wanting a wall and are concerned about growing too big and too much development, but regardless, taking care of the lake and the environmental health is the priority. So are we going to, by supporting this, does this put us at odds in any ways with lawsuits or activity that's happening or hasn't happened?
I'm gonna defer to our county attorney related to that. I don't believe there's any current pending litigation. And again, these messages are generally just broad support since those agencies have applied and they're inside Missoula County. We don't generally get into the specifics when it's not something the county itself is the applicant for.
Okay,
Chris,
thanks.
How much has the sewer district requested by way of funding?
There is a grant for $450,000 in one and $150,000 in the other, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I think we ought to be supporting any and all funding for their project, because if it moves forward without the state funding, it's going to be all the more expensive for the property owners up there to bear the burden.
That's a really great point. That's a really great point. Even for those who don't like this, it's going to be worse without this grant.
Of course, I guess we'll see next month. All of this could be a complete moot point depending on how the election up there goes. But in any event, I'd be supportive of both.
Same.
Both of those.
Okay. So the next bill I had for you, I apologize, there's two more. SB 80 is designed to limit the term of an interlocal to 5 years. Currently, there is not a time limit on interlocals, and of course, Missoula County has long-standing interlocal agreements, for example, that create the library. Our 911 center is created by an interlocal. Our public safety radio system in the entire state of Montana is created by an interlocal agreement between Missoula County and the various other communities in the state of Montana. So our recommendation would be that we oppose SB 80's 5-year limitation, because what it does is it sets us up again in that kind of funding conundrum of where if we have a large scale capital project that we need to go out and request funding for, and then every 5 years that entity that's basically applying for the funding goes away, creates a real problem on the finance side. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that there are certain governmental services that have to be created by an interlocal agreement that really just can't go away. And the one I always pick on is 911, right? No one wants to, but we know that that can still be a fairly contentious issue. And of course, it needs to be able to be reviewed, and all interlocal agreements require some sort of termination provision where the two entities can agree to, separate and go their own ways, the parties to the interlocal, but simply terminating them automatically at 5 years does not seem like a prudent course, at least from staff's perspective. So,
yeah, I was thinking about 911 as you were talking. Like, who would imagine? Well, in 5 years, we're just going to do something else.
just turn it off. No emergencies today.
I agree. Why is this being proposed?
I don't know the exact reason. It is coming out of the Flathead, so I could imagine it's either concern over land use, given some of the things that are going on over there, or of course, city county health departments are created by interlocals, and that's what our next topic is bills about health departments. So that is also, this may also be a mechanism to attempt to address what are perceived as inequities in that. So
I bet you're spot on that.
Okay.
And again, so, I mean, I think it's important, the existing state law that allows for the termination of those is important, right? Because nobody wants an agreement that goes on in perpetuity forever. But simply automatically ending them at 5 years doesn't seem like the most prudent either.
Yeah, and there already exists the flexibility that, I mean, we're contemplating doing this on one of our own interlocals, that we can revisit it whenever we want.
Yeah.
It's not as if you can't, right?
Exactly. And the last one I just want to bring to your attention is SB. Ann's going to have to help me out here. I think it's SB 180. Ann, is that right? For health department, one that's coming up.
I think it's 108.
108. Thank you. I knew somebody from the legislative team on here would know, because we've got such a crack team. By the way, if you didn't know, we have Emmy, Sarah, Allison, and Casey helping Ann and I each morning to go through all the bills that are coming out, and then getting staff comments and putting them together. They're doing a fantastic job.
That's a fantastic team.
It is a fantastic team,
really
and
good.
luckily they have way better memories than I do. So you just heard one of them pipe up, which is wonderful, because the numbers have all become a mishmash.
You had the numbers correct. You just got to switch the zero.
The H and the S.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this is another bill aimed obviously at statutory health authority. This one in particular is problematic. You'll recall earlier this month we talked about one bill that would make it so any health order had to come to either the city council or county commissioners in order to be able to have it in essence ratified, is what I'm going to say. So they could issue an emergency order, but it would be subject to review. This one makes it so that they can only provide recommendations to the governing body, which, as our environmental health folks have pointed out, is really problematic, because they go out and do daycare inspections, pool inspections, restaurant inspections, grocery store inspections. They would in essence not be able to issue a health order. So if they went in and saw an egregious violation, they would not be able to issue a health order until the city council and county commissioners could call a special meeting and then vote on those. So we'll again request that they consider some change to the way that it's being proposed and point out what some of those problems are, at least from a staffing perspective in ensuring public health. But that's the next health bill that's kind of coming down the line.
I wonder if maybe that's coming from some of the smaller counties where it might not be a bigger deal, but for us it would be ridiculous.
I think so.
So much time on it.
Yeah, as I say, Yellowstone, Gallatin, I mean, you know, like large metropolitan hubs that have literally hundreds and hundreds of restaurants. None of us want the consequence that could come from a bad inspection not being, you know, no action being taken. So
Where is this being sponsored from? I'm sorry.
SB 108, I'm not sure. Hang on just a second. Let me scroll. It's got to be on here somewhere. SB 108 is coming from Douglas Carey out of Senate District 22. So,
Well, I would be fine. I would be fine opposing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So we will send a message in opposition to that particular bill, and those are the ones I wanted to highlight today for you that are kind of coming down the track. And then when we get to COVID-19, I have one quick update for you as well.
So, to what degree is it important that we oppose or get excited about any specific bills?
So I will tell you that both our delegation and in general, when we ask you to testify specifically on bills, the elected representatives and senators at the state really do care what local elected officials say. So they really do. We get not 100%, but I bet we get somewhere between 50 and 75% of the responses we send in. We get a note back from at least one member of our delegation thanking us for the information.
Great.
So, yeah, they really do care.
And Chris, are these messages just going out to our delegation or?
Yeah, so generally we send to our members on the committee and then our full delegation on the floor. So.
Okay.
Chris, do you know if there is anyone from our delegation speaking out about the sort of ridiculous and hateful nature of these anti-trans bills?
I don't know that we had anybody on that committee, but I would imagine, yes. I don't.
So we don't need to do anything there?
Well, which committee is it? Is it being heard?
So those would have been heard probably in Health and Human Services. I apologize, I didn't pull those up. Let me have to switch to the right screen here. Just have a few of them running around today.
So if it was Health and Human Services, Danny Tenenbaum is on that, and I know he's been pretty vocally opposed to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Allison.
I mean, if it would be helpful for us to do something, I would love to, because it's just a horrible thing that they're proposing. But
yeah, and, I mean, Josh, and as individual commissioners, I would absolutely encourage you, if there's a particular issue that you're interested in, please, you know, as elected officials, you don't have the same kind of restrictions on lobbying that the entity of Missoula County has on it. So certainly feel free to do that. I know Erica just popped into the chat that PHC and the health, you know, some of the healthcare provider folks have been weighing in on those issues, but absolutely when we talk about, you know, social justice or criminal justice issues, if you guys are passionate about those, then we can help connect your message to the right people.
I'm kind of late to the game on this one. I just heard about it on Montana Public Radio when I was exercising this morning, and just thought, I can't believe this is where we are right now. And
well, and I would say. What was that, Josh? I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with these two bills?
Yeah, they're horrible. And are these both House bills or I was going to say if they're Senate bills, these would fall into the category where the SB ought to be inverted to match the quality of the bill. Anyway, yeah, I guess if it's appropriate, and maybe it's not at that stage yet, I would have no objection to us collectively as the Board of County Commissioners weighing in. But maybe that would happen after it got out of committee if we don't have anyone on that particular committee.
Yeah, procedurally, I'm in way over my head saying we should do anything other than just note this is horrible.
Yeah, they are both
whatever's meaningful.
Yeah, they are both House bills, and we can absolutely send when they come to the floor, assuming they get out of committee. Hopefully they die long before they get to the floor, but
okay,
we can absolutely send before they, you know, when they hit the floor. So if they make it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Back to Senate District 22, like wow. That's odd to me. I think there's lots of restaurants and lots of issues in Billings that would be difficult to manage.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of upset related to what folks perceive as unfair treatment during the pandemic, and unfortunately, the bills are not targeted to what folks feel that way. They seem to be broad and sweeping, and really will impact just day-to-day operations that are necessary to protect public health, which is really unfortunate. And I can definitely understand folks upset related to some of the things that have happened during the pandemic. It's been a long, really hard, difficult road for lots of folks, but it is reactionary is perhaps not the best method for addressing those concerns. So,
well, and this afternoon I will be testifying on HB 104. It's the bill that relates to the length of term for county leases, leases of county property. So, Josh or Juanita, did either of you testify last week on anything?
Juan did, I think.
I did.
How'd that process go, doing it virtually?
Really, I thought really well. Really, yep, it worked super smoothly. You could hear everyone testifying in person, and then they just went through folks who had registered on the online and folks who were on the phone. I thought it went really well.
Was it just audio and no video, or?
There's video for, you could see the people in the room, and while we were testifying, yeah, we were just audio, but then you look at the recording and you see a better perspective of the room and who's in the room and who's speaking. I thought they did a great job.
Okay.
That was just my first observation. So the legislative team might have other observations. So maybe ask Allison or
Dave. I would just add that if you are streaming the committee hearing in the background, you want to mute that before you start providing your testimony.
Oh, and I was on like different computers. I think okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will not be streaming them separately.
but we did hear really positive feedback, Juan, about your testimony. So.
Well, that would be to the communications team. So thank you, Allison.
They make us all sound way better than we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing else on that. I do have one thing when we get to the COVID piece for you.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to that, anything related to meetings, upcoming meetings? I think we have is it tomorrow night or what night this week? Do we have a all community council meeting? Is that coming?
Next Wednesday,
next
right?
week?
That's next Wednesday, the 27th.
Oh, okay. Getting ahead of myself there. Okay.
So here's a meeting thing. Just due to some of my family stuff here, I'm going to be traveling on Thursday afternoon. So I'm not going to be able to make it to our public meeting on Thursday.
There will undoubtedly be controversy breaking out in your absence, I'm sure.
If there's some big things coming up?
I don't think there is.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of our long drive back. So
yeah.
No problem. And best not to be participating in a public meeting while behind the wheel. So.
And I'll send Kyla a note this morning formalizing all this.
Okay, very good. Okay, COVID. What do you have, Chris?
So just a quick recommendation, commissioners. I think it might be worth reaching out to Senators Tester and Daines because President-elect Biden has specifically requested a bill through Congress for $1.9 million. Million was with M, and I meant trillion with a T. They're really far apart in reality, like orders of magnitude apart. But in that is included money for local governments to help with quite a few of the costs that we've incurred related to this. I do think it would be helpful to consider sending to him. As you'll recall, around the original CARES Act, there was a lot of confusion over the local government piece and how funding should be distributed. I do think we should bring that to the attention of our delegation prior to legislation actually being introduced and put on the floor. So if you're amenable to that, we will try to get a letter drafted to our delegation, hoping that we can get that addressed before it ever gets passed. because I do think it would be more beneficial if they could, of course, last time they set a population cap of you had to have more than 500,000 people in the county, which, took them from most of the counties in the country to very few of the counties in the country. That really needs to be a much lower number so that counties and cities can deal with the direct challenges that are occurring in their community. So,
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so we will work on getting a letter drafted to either go out on Thursday or the following Tuesday. So,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Anything else from anyone out there?
Oh, Martin.
Martin Kidston, what do you have?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Just trying to get your thoughts on what seems to be an increasing pattern of certain legislators in Helena who often argue states' rights, reaching out to usurp the rights of city and counties across the state to make their own regulations, ordinances, etc. Is that a concern to you at all?
Totally, yeah, and the irony is not lost on any of us that these are the very same legislators who grouse about getting the federal government off of the states back and bringing more decision-making power locally, that they are doing the exact same thing with local government.
For sure. If these folks were true to their word that the closer you get to the people, the better the decisions are, they would empower local governments to do just that.
Is it frustrating when the county or the city takes action to improve the quality of life locally, to see people from afar, perhaps with different opinions, say you can't do that?
Sure, absolutely. And we're held very accountable to these decisions, Martin, and that we will be elected or unelected. And the folks who are subverting that process are not going to be elected or unelected by the people whose lives they're affecting.
Yeah, and the connection is tenuous at best if folks are claiming that the decisions that we are making locally here adversely impact another jurisdiction across the state of Montana.
Great, thank you very much.
Juanita, did you have anything you wanted to jump into?
No, you guys nailed it. So thank you. Yeah, it is curious and ironic.
Yes, it seems curious, really. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.
All right. Anything else from anyone for the good of the order? Okay. Well, everyone have a great day.
All right.
Wham,
Thank you
bam.
all.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.